Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams along with Chris King tonight at the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. Tip-off scheduled for 9:20 Eastern Time. Game on TBS. It is Kansas versus the University of North Carolina. Blue on blue again. And Chris, crazy weekend. A lot of interesting stuff. Props to the University of South Carolina women who beat Gino Oriana and the Yukon Huskies in the ladies
Which, of
final.
course, you said right as T-Train, the UConn alum, comes in. So I'm sure he feels great to
Right.
know that you
I'm
pointed that
sure
out.
he's going to be happy about that, I would think. So good on him. And ironically, or coincidentally, perhaps would be a better way of putting it, we are going to watch a game at the Caesar Superdome, and we got nothing but good news from Caesars about some betting, but we'll get to Caesars in a minute. Okay. Let's do a little talk about the game. So let's start with the odds between North Carolina and Kansas. This is the money line at the moment. It's 4. Kansas is -4. Kansas is minus 190. North Carolina plus 160, total 151. Now I've seen that go up to 153 in some places. I've seen it go down to 149 something. So it's jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like depending on where you go, you're going to get a lot of fluctuation on that right now.
Yeah.
The 151.5 seems right now to be floating between 151 and 152,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the book. Caesars has it now down at 151.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other books, BetMGM and everybody has it at 151.5.
Okay.
Everybody's got to be different just to try and mess with people. By the same token, everybody pretty much has it at -4, but BetMGM now has it at 4.5. So nobody wants to be like everybody else. Everybody's got to try to come up with something different just to try and hook in somebody for something.
So you have a theory that Max is trying to make his money back. Is that's the theory of the case here?
Well, the sad part is that in some form or fashion, Mattress Mac is going to make money today. I mean, he bet $3.3 million on Kansas to win the other day at plus 190 through
Mm-hmm.
Caesar's Sportsbook app. So if Kansas wins, he would earn $6.27 million off of that. But earlier when the tournament started,
Mm-hmm.
he bet $1 million that the tournament champion would come out of the East region. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, that region had Texas and Baylor. We know what
Right.
happened to both those teams. But the funny thing is, North Carolina is the team from the East.
Right.
So either way, he'll win either $2.16 million off a $1 million bet, or he'll win $6.27 million off the 3.3 that he laid out before the Final Four. Either way, he's at least going to make some money, so he can feel slightly better about himself. He'll still be down some, 8 figures since the start of the year when it comes to betting on games. Because remember, he lost over $6 million betting on Alabama in the national title game. Then he lost
Right.
$9.5 million betting on the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I guess it's good for Vegas because they know that one way or the other, they're still going to get a bunch of his money.
This is true.
And I guess for him, it's publicity because, people will laugh at him and talk about what an idiot he is throwing all that money away. Of course, it was another promotion, where when he bet on the East region, if you spent over $3,000 on furniture, and if a team from Texas had won it all, those people would have gotten their money back. But of course, with Baylor and Texas both being wiped out, that won't be the case. I haven't heard if he's running the same promotion tonight with Kansas. I'm doubting it, but
Yeah.
give it to Mattress Mac. He's single-handedly trying to keep Vegas in the black.
Well, he's doing a
So
pretty good
kudos to
job at
him.
this point. Yeah.
And T-Train, I think, is right about this game tonight. He thinks David McCormick is a big key for Kansas because when he went out, Mitch Lightfoot, the 37-year-old sixth or seventh year senior who plays about 8 minutes a game,
Right.
came in. Villanova tightened the gap up, and McCormick had a big performance. It was probably his best showing of the tournament. And Kansas is going to need him, especially with Baycott hobbled with that ankle injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how mobile he's going to be. He fouled out down the stretch against Duke the other night. Will he be able to hold up? Because his presence on the glass has been a big factor for North Carolina in this tournament. Of course, he had 21 rebounds against Duke the other night. But McCormick, he averages 10.5 a game. But against Villanova, we talked about it the other day about how, he had a size advantage over anybody Villanova had, and he put up 25 and 9, the most points he put up in this tournament, because he had 9 against Texas Southern in the opener, then he had 7 against Creighton, then he had 8 against Providence, and then he had 15 against Miami. I think T-Train's onto something. I think McCormick's going to have to step up and put up another good performance for Kansas in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking a little bit in the pre-show. I think you agree that be careful in the over. 6 of Kansas' last 10 games have hit the under, and North Carolina has gone over in 6 of the last 10 games. It's a popular play, but it could be a little different this time around.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the under. I'm just not 100% sure of what we're going to see from these teams. I mean, Kansas is a decent defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina isn't, but, Carolina's relied a lot on perimeter shooting from Manick and company in the tournament. But if those threes don't fall, it's tough to put up points if you're the Tar Heels. And like we said, it's going to be close. It's going to probably end up somewhere between 148 and 155. So, they're sticking that number right in the middle.
Yeah.
But you're looking at the last few games in the tournament for Kansas: 127 with Providence, 126 with Miami. They got to 146 with Villanova. But like we said, they also shot, 13 of 24 from three-point range. Can you expect Agbaji to hit 6 of 7 from 3 again? Probably not. I mean, let's be honest. He had struggled through earlier games in the tournament. He struggled against Providence. He wasn't all that great against Creighton. I don't think you can rely on a guy to shoot 85% from three-point land. It's just not feasible.
Yeah. The other thing about Kansas, though, Chris, is that unlike Duke, I mean, Duke's athletic. There's no question. But Kansas is athletic as well, and they're not young.
True. That's very true. I mean,
that's that kind of presence. And they played teams like Baylor. They played teams that are, physically talented. So I don't think Kansas is going to be intimidated by North Carolina.
Yeah, Baylor, Texas Tech is another team that's, older and physical.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent, Iowa State has some physicality, but you're right, and they're not a young team. They've got, McCormick's a senior, Agbaji's a senior, Remy Martin, who came over from Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
He's a senior. Like we said, the 87-year-old Mitch Lightfoot is a senior.
Right.
Coleman Lands is a senior. They've all been here before. Braun is a junior. And, the one thing that Bill Self has a little bit more of than you could probably say Hubert Davis has on the other side is depth. You look, and I know they didn't play a ton of guys. He played, Lightfoot played 9 minutes the other day. Martin played 21, and everybody else, came in at the very end. But, he knows that a guy like Joseph Yusufu, who came over from Drake, can put up numbers. Coleman Lance has been around a while at different schools. He can play. Beyond Carolina's starting 5, I mean, who jumps out and scares you? I mean, the loss of Dawson Garcia earlier this year really hurt them. But, I mean, if in crunch time, do you want to deal with Brady Manick or do you want to deal with Puff Johnson? I mean, let's be honest.
We have a guest who's dropped by. Allie is here. Allie Burns, who we just caught off her show. Hello, Allie Burns.
Hi, guys. I just want to pop in and say hello.
Hello. That was a phenomenal game between Duke and Carolina. If you're going to go out, that was, couldn't ask for any more. They left it on the court, as the cliches all say, right?
Yes, absolutely. It was a great game. And, like if we had to lose, I'd rather lose to UNC than lose to anyone. It was a great game. I've liked that UNC team, in the past weeks. They've been really solid and I've liked them a lot. I think they beat Kansas tonight. I definitely like taking the points. What do you like in this one, Chris?
I was going the other way. I like Kansas. I just don't know if North Carolina has the depth, especially if they get in foul trouble. Especially, I know Baycott's talking about how you'd have to cut his foot off for him to play, but how mobile is he going to be? Is he going to try and pull a Willis Reed? I'm just not convinced that the Tar Heels have anything left because, like Jim and I were talking in the pre-show, they basically thought that they cut down the Nets beating Duke the other night. They might have emotionally checked. They might be emotionally zapped at this point.
I don't know. They've been on, I just think strength of schedule wise, in the last 5 games, you've got a Marquette team that was hungry. You took out the champs in Baylor. You took out UCLA. Who is the other one? Well,
they
Duke,
beat St.
that was
Peter's.
a good one. And they beat the unbeatable St. Peter's Peacocks. Okay. Whereas Kansas is playing Providence and Creighton and Texas Southern and a Villanova team that I think should have gone home to Houston. So it's just the side I'm on. I'm always into taking points. In these
I think you're devaluing Providence a little bit though by saying they beat Providence. Providence was a good basketball team this season,
right? But they're not UCLA. They're not Baylor.
Yeah, but you also have to look and see that Carolina blew a 25-point lead with 10 minutes to go. They nearly ended up going out in round 2 to Baylor.
Right, I get that. That was a foul out issue with old Brady Manick, but at the same time, I think they kind of let their foot off. You could tell they were punched in the mouth when Manick went out. They just kind of didn't know what to do, and they let that lead slip, but they still won the game.
Well, that's true, but they didn't win it convincingly. Had they blown Baylor out, I mean, you can take your foot off the gas all you want, and use that as a rationale. But who's to say Manick won't melt down again? I mean, our buddy Steen thinks that Manick is a little bit of a bitch. I mean, he was that way at Oklahoma, where when things didn't go his way, he kind of lost his cool. And the last thing that Hubert Davis needs is to have Baycott hampered and Manick in foul trouble, because then you have nothing.
Right.
And that's why I worry about Carolina here. They have no depth. I mean, we were talking about Dawson Garcia would have been a nice addition to have at this point of the season for the Tar Heels for certain. Because Puff Johnson, Justin McCoy, Dontrez Styles, they don't have a ton of experience and they don't get a ton of playing time. And it's bad enough most of the time you're playing 4-on-5 because nobody expects Leaky Black to do anything on offense.
Oh, I liked him so much better last year than I do this year.
Yeah, he's basically been invisible most of this year. I don't understand why he would. Like you said, he seemed to be effective last year, but he barely shoots the ball now.
It's kind of funny. I thought Duke would have been a better matchup against Kansas for a win.
I thought it would be Duke and Kansas for sure, but
yeah, that's why I lost.
Right, same. I didn't bet on that though. I did not bet that game. But yeah, I just wanted to pop in and say hi to you guys and remind everybody that the last Woody Standing starts tomorrow on the Morning Wood Show. So if you guys want any of y'all's viewers would like to come party with the Morning Woodies, we start a contest every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Morning Wood Show. You've got to be on the live. You're going to give me your number one best bet, juice under -150. And if you win, if you make it all the way through and you're the last Woody Standing, you win $100 and a t-shirt. So I just want to throw that out to everybody.
Well, that's great. And we're going to have at least one baseball insider that's going to drop by your show and our show this week, probably two, to talk about Major League Baseball, because the three of us are baseball fanatics and can't wait for opening day to begin.
Unless you're the Reds.
Thursday. I'm sorry?
Unless you're the Reds.
Well, that I can't help that. Okay, but there's some Schadenfreude in my situation here because the Mets' 2 pitchers are down. So I am, it's like, am I upset about it? No, I'm not. They could, we'll see. But
We'll
only the
see.
Mets can figure out a way to screw things up. There's no way about it. It is the Mets. But that's coming Thursday. Tonight we got a basketball game, and it'll be fun.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, I will leave you guys to it. Y'all have a
Allie,
great
thanks
day.
for coming by as
Thanks
always.
for letting me storm your show.
Anytime. All right, Allie.
All
Have
right.
a great
Good luck
day.
today, guys.
Bye-bye.
later.
And by the way, like Allie said, check her show out. It's 1 o'clock. Comes on before us. And
after Midday Money with Sean Higgs.
Yes. 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, Jim froze again. So
I know my internet has been bad today too. So maybe it's just going around.
probably.
it's now we're all going. Okay, there we go. All right. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. All right. So thanks, Allie, for everything, and we'll talk to you. And check out Allie and check out the contest. Sounds like a lot of fun. Okay.
Yes, good times.
Bye, Al.
Bye, guys.
Take
Good
care.
luck, everyone. Go Tar Heels.
Bye. Okay, and there goes Allie.
Yeah, there she is again.
And she's back. Okay.
Yeah, now she's gone.
And now she's gone again. Okay. All right. We have poltergeist in the system. All right.
Now, James is asking, do we think that the under for 70, first half total under 71.5? That's an interesting number. I mean, if you look at the way some of these games have gone of late, the other day we saw in the Villanova game, we saw a total of at the half, Kansas was up 40-29. That was 69 points. And then, of course, the Duke-Carolina game was 37-34. So you were right at 71. I'm probably going to lean towards the under. I'd like to see what somebody like T-Train or Tim has to say. I see they're both out there.
Yeah.
And Tim just said, did Allie just say, go Tar Heels, has hell frozen over? It probably has, Tim. I mean, I'll get with my sources over in Hell, Michigan, and see what they had to say.
It's still cold there, yeah.
I know my parents had snow yesterday, so anything's possible.
Well, we used to have a saying when I worked in Cleveland that that summer in Cleveland was August 16th, and if you missed it, you missed it. So,
I always say that. I always tell my parents that for anybody that asks that you're not safe from snow until after Memorial Day, and then you get spring for the first 2 weeks of June, and you get summer for a couple weeks, and then it's back to fall.
Back to fall, right? So,
but that's just the way life goes.
Yeah, it could be worse. Shall we go to the board?
It's not a very big board, but sure, why not? We can start with the actual write-up for this game if you want.
Sure.
Like we have here, I'm going to go with Kansas over North Carolina. The Tar Heels, of course, 29-9. They're 6-4 on a neutral floor. Kansas 33-6 and 11-1 in neutral game situations this season. Kansas 23rd in scoring offense at 78.4 points a game. They're 18th in field goal percentage at 47.9%. They shoot almost 54% inside the arc, better than 36% from outside the arc. Their one Achilles heel, free throw shooting. They're slightly above average at 72%. Fortunately, they face a North Carolina team that's 242nd in scoring defense at 71.3 points a game. 136th in field goal percentage defense, 109th in two-point defense. They give up a lot of threes, 7.8 a game. They see opposing teams shoot 33.7% from behind the arc. That's right, Tim. There are no NBA losers today. So all of our picks are winners. I'm picking the bye team to beat the Lakers by 25. The Tar Heels, 28th in scoring offense at 78.1. They're 113th field goal percentage, 155th in two-point shooting. They knock down 8.5 threes a game, and they shoot 36.1% out there, so they shoot just as well as Kansas from the perimeter. They shoot 76.3% at the stripe, which is 26th in the country. The difference basically is the way these teams play defense. The Jayhawks are 118th in scoring defense, 67.2. They hold opposing teams to 40.9% from the floor, 46.7% from two-point range. They only give 6.3 threes a night, and they're 26th in three-point defense. The Jayhawks 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 after an ATS win, 7-2 ATS in their last 9 overall, and 7-2 ATS in their last 9 after a straight-up win. Tim, I get that Carolina's covered every tournament game, but like we said, facing a team, they got by Baylor. I don't think they necessarily should have the way they choked off that lead and then, failed to hit free throws. I'm just concerned about the mobility of Baycott. I'm worried about the depth. I'm worried about Manic doing something stupid because, he has a lot of experience playing Kansas and doing stupid things at stupid times. And I'm worried that somebody like Caleb Love will jack up some, heat check threes that he shouldn't be firing up like we saw at times during the UCLA game. And I think that, they're, like I said, they poured everything they had into getting past Duke because we know how bitter the rivalry on Tobacco Road is. Villanova had Kansas had an easier time in the Final Four getting past Villanova. I just think that, Kansas has got a little bit of an advantage there. And I think that if McCormick either A, bullies Baycott, or B, gets him in foul trouble, especially with him hampered with that ankle, it's going to be tough for Carolina to contain the interior game, which will then set up guys like Agbaji and Braun shooting from the outside. Now, with that said, I'm not a big fan of either one of these teams. I'll be perfectly honest. I've never been a fan of the Big 12, and the ACC is what it is. I mean, everybody knows how much I'm not a Duke fan and things like that. I thought that Duke would have gotten by Carolina to get to this point because that just seemed to be the way the Hollywood story of the week was trending. Didn't turn out that way. I just don't know if the Tar Heels are mentally in it now because to them, beating a team like that, that's like a the college basketball equivalent of winning the Super Bowl for them.
I just a minute ago, Michael came up with Bill Self has all the pressure on him tonight. That's true, and but at this point in time, you would hope that Bill Self and Kansas could step up and win a national championship. Hubert Davis in his first year at North Carolina has done a lot of good things. The Tar Heels are on a run, no question about that. But if I think the maturity of Kansas and the ability of Bill Self to coach in tight situations like this is going to give a coaching advantage anyway to Bill Self over a guy who undoubtedly is going to have a lot of success in North Carolina, and that's Hubert Davis, who could win in his first year a national championship. But I still, that coaching edge, I think, goes to Self in this particular situation.
Well, I agree, and I mean, I get that everybody's happy with what Hubert Davis has done, but you got to remember, as much as the pressure may be on Self, think about the pressure was on him Saturday, and he outcoached Jay Wright, a guy who's got 2 national titles in the last 5 or 6 years himself. You'd have to think that he's got the edge on Davis because, sure, Davis has been on the bench, and he was there with Roy Williams and all that, but Roy Williams didn't necessarily bowl anyone over. He didn't rack up a Wooden-esque run while he was in Chapel Hill either.
Right. The other thing, though, in all fairness to Jay had one hand tied behind his back.
This is true.
He could. I mean, he took them. If you remember, in the early in the second half, they were only 6 points down.
Right.
And then, it started raining threes from outside from Kansas. And they took, they put the pedal down and took off. And, that's it. I'm not making excuses for Jay. I'm just saying he didn't have the horses to play Kansas. And, and
hey, Michael, that's 40L9. It's not 40,019. It was so at least get it right.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what I get for trying to tap the stupid button when I wasn't looking at the keyboard.
Yeah, it happens to me all the time. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for what's going to happen tonight, and you know, if nothing else, we should see a very entertaining uh, game. Let's
Yeah, I
put
think
it
it's going to be a tight game all the way. I don't think you're going to see much more of a lead than maybe 6 or 8 points. Uh, you're going to see a lot of back and forth. The interesting thing is how these teams adjust when they have to go to the bench.
right.
Like we said, if Baycott is hampered or if Manic goes into foul trouble, how does Hubert Davis adjust? If Agbaji can't knock down a shot to save his life, will Self take the ball away from him and feed it to Braun or Remy Martin, or will they go inside? And like T Train had said originally, how much will Mitch Lightfoot play, given how poorly he looked against Villanova? Can he get 35 or 37 minutes out of McCormick if he needs them?
I don't know, but if I'm Kansas, I'm going to take the ball inside. I'm going to go right at the, the center and power forward of the fronts of Carolina and force them to stop me.
That's true, because I mean, if Baycott is limited and he can't get into position, you can get him in foul trouble quick, and that'll
Right.
force Davis to really adjust, because we said outside of Baycott, there's not a ton of size.
Right.
He's 6'10", then Manic is 6'9", but then after that, Puff Johnson is 6'8", but he's 205, and McCoy is 6'8", and he's 220. Now, I know McCormick's only 6'10", but he's 6'10", 250. So, I mean, you're talking he's got a couple inches in anywhere between 30 and 45 pounds
Right.
over those two guys. Plus, he's got the experience factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the big thing is, will McCormick be able to go big minutes, because he only averages about 22, 23 minutes a game this year, which makes no sense. But I guess when you were blowing teams out, you didn't necessarily need a big man in the paint. Braun and Agbaji were going for about 35, 36 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also got Jalen Wilson, who's 6'8", 2.25. So he's effective too. And maybe we'll see more of him as opposed to Lightfoot, because Lightfoot was, how do we put this, not very good.
Ineffective.
Sure, that'll work.
There you go. Being polite here on a Monday. The game's being played at the Caesar Superdome, and in honor of that, Caesar Sportsbook, $1,100 first bet insurance. Place a first-time wager of up to $1,100 and get back the entire thing in the form of a free bet if you lose. So bet anywhere from $10 to $1,100 on your first-time wager, and you have betting insurance. So if you happen to lose, they're going to cover that for you. But you have to use the code ATS Winners. That's ATS Winners. And basically, that's the promo code. You've got it in the show box below. Remember, always bet accordingly. You must be 21 years or older. And if indeed you have a gambling problem, here's a phone number for you. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Okay? But we know our folks out there always wager wisely. And there you go. So, anyway, a little bit of a controversy going on, Chris. I know we don't have any NBA tonight, but real quick to touch on. This past week, there was an interview in the LA Times with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talking about, it's the 75th anniversary of the NBA, and talking about Lakers and players. And basically, Kareem said that when asked about what he thought of LeBron as a Laker, and he said, well, I don't think of LeBron as a Laker, because he hasn't been here very long, number one. And number two, he said, to me, he's done some things that has embarrassed him and the organization. specifically talking about his constant, constant chirping at the coach, constant chirping at if we had this or this player or that player or whatever, or just as we like to say, LeBron being LeBron. And it rubs mainly non-Laker fans for some reason. Pro LeBron fans went nuts. Laker fans, they kind of like, that's an interesting statement. But it definitely has caused some controversy out in Los Angeles.
Well, the Lakers have enough issues that the last thing they need to worry about is what something that Kareem said about LeBron not thinking of him as a Laker.
Right.
If you look, they've now fallen out of the play-in tournament. They're behind the Spurs, which is something to say considering how poorly San Antonio has played most of the season. If the Lakers use this as another reason why they can't make the playoffs, then this team is in more dire straits than I thought. I mean, they're behind 2 games with 4 to play now. They've lost 6 in a row. And in order for the Lakers to make the playoffs, basically, if San Antonio wins one of their last 4, the Lakers would have to go undefeated. Because San Antonio owns the tiebreaker based on a better conference record. They're 23-25 against the West. The Lakers just 16-32.
When the Clippers have to win one game to clinch a spot.
Well, they're officially in the playoffs.
I'm sorry, it's the Pelicans. I'm sorry. It was,
the Pelicans need 1. The Spurs basically need 2.
Right.
And I like what Magic Johnson said earlier. He said, "Quit making excuses."
Yeah,
and that's basically what they have to do. I mean, you look. They've lost 6 in a row. They lost 2 of those to New Orleans. They were up by 4 or 5 with 5 minutes to go the other day against the Pelicans at home and still found a way to lose. Then they played Denver yesterday. They got run over by the Nuggets in the second half. They lost to the Jazz. They lost to Dallas in a game that probably wasn't as close as the 18-point margin said. It boils down to the same problem as always. If you're the Lakers, you don't stop anybody. Denver shot 57% plus from the field yesterday. You let Jokic go for 38 points and 18 rebounds. Will Barton had 25. Aaron Gordon had 24. Who did you guard? You can go, hey, JaMychal Green only had 2. Well, so what? It's JaMychal Green. You let 3 guys off the bench score in double figures. I mean, Anthony Davis played. He played well, or as well as you can expect, given the fact that they have no players. Westbrook actually had an effective night shooting the ball, which is scary. Who would have sat around and said, hey, Westbrook shot 11 of 15 from the field in a game? Half the time, you don't think he can hit 11 out of 15 layups.
That's true. Well, let's take a look at the NHL because we got some games there tonight. And
yep, we do. We got a whole 4 games. And T-Train wants to know why LeBron wears sunglasses on the bench.
Because the future's so bright, he's got to wear shades.
And to Bill's question I saw just a minute ago asking about the most outstanding player in the tournament, I think if Kansas wins, they'll probably end up giving it to Agbaji. I know he's the favorite. If McCormick has another big game, he would probably be a dark horse candidate, I think, because, without him, they wouldn't have gotten to the title game as it was with the way he played against Villanova. So, I mean, don't count him out. And one other stat about tonight, Kansas and North Carolina have met 6 times in the NCAA tournament. Kansas has won 4 of them. They've met 3 times since Bill Self has been the head coach in Lawrence. Kansas 3-0 in those games. And Tim, yeah. I get that you don't think Baycott's gonna be fine, but ask Joel Berry II how much fun it is playing on a sprained ankle in the national title game when he did that back in the late 2000s, 2007, 2008, something like that. He might think he's okay. I know that there's he's not going to be 100%. Let's be perfectly honest.
Quick question, Jr. I don't know of any correlation, just so you know, between Duke North Carolina game and wins and losses in the next game.
Well, I mean, we can look at Ken Palm and see. I mean, if you look, Carolina beat Duke in the regular season finale. Then they went on to beat Virginia in the first round of the ACC tournament. In their first matchup, they lost to Duke and then beat Clemson by 2. I think that took a late bucket to beat them there. Last year, they beat Duke in the finale, then they beat Notre Dame in the ACC tournament. That's the tough part, is they always play in the regular season finale, so then they end up going into the ACC tournament and playing some team that they probably have an advantage over.
I must have mistook what he said, because I thought he meant, where two teams of the same conference played each other.
Oh, I thought he was talking about just straight with Duke and Carolina.
Okay. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, you could be right. I just thought, because that hasn't happened often.
True.
There were a couple times it happened in the Big East. I remember, what was it? Was Villanova? Was it Villanova in Georgetown?
Yeah, because yeah. And who was the other Big East team that was in that Final Four? Was that St. John's?
It was either St. John's or Syracuse, one of the two. Yeah.
See,
so yeah, there's been situations, but it hasn't happened often. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. In '85, that was the tournament we were talking about. Yeah, it was Villanova, Georgetown, and St. John's, and Memphis State.
Yeah.
And of course, then it came out later that Memphis State had that appearance vacated because they had ineligible players. That history tends to repeat itself then with Memphis, because remember they had that with Calipari too.
Chris, you're right. His correlation was during the season, and not what I thought, which was the thing. Wasn't it? There was that one year that Villanova lost and had to vacate the championship.
When was that?
That was in the 80s. That was oh God, who was the kid that played that was deemed ineligible after the season? I mean, after the championship game, like early 80s, somewhere between 80 and 85, something like that.
Let's see. 84 was Georgetown beating Houston.
Right.
83 was, of course, Valvano.
Right.
82 was Carolina beating Georgetown when Jordan hit that shot after stealing, right. And then Sleepy Floyd turned it over.
Right.
81 was Indiana over Carolina.
Okay.
With Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
And then 80 was
Louisville. We know
Louisville beat UCLA.
Yeah. We know what 79 was. So it had to be, I don't know, maybe it was.
It says UCLA forfeited their runner-up trophy in 81 after players representing the school were declared ineligible. Right. So maybe that's what it was?
Maybe. But I thought I'll go into our crack research team while you break down the Blues and the Coyotes.
We have a crack research team? Cool.
Yes.
Nobody told me about this.
It's called Google.
Yeah, I see that, like I said, Carolina was, or not Carolina, UCLA was placed on probation for violations ranging from financial arrangements for players to giving a recruit a T-shirt. That was back in 81. So good for them. But yeah, on the ice tonight, we got the Blues and everybody's favorite team, the Coyotes. Okay, Charlie, Sleepy didn't turn it over. Jordan just took the ball from him. The Coyotes 22-42-5. They're 12-19-4 on the road. The Blues 38-20-10. Let's not forget the Coyotes did play yesterday. They upended the Blackhawks 3-2 in overtime in the Windy City. Ivan Prostov 0-1-1 with 3-4 goals against a 9.3 save percentage. As you can tell, he's got a lengthy track record this season. Expected to start against Ville Husso, who's 19-6-3 with a 245 goals against a 922 save percentage and 2 shutouts for the Blues. The Coyotes 31st in goals for at 254, 28th in goals against at 355. The Blues are 5th in goals for at 357, 14th in goals against at 291. St. Louis 16-5 in their last 21 against Western Conference opponents, 6-2 in their last 8 against the Central Division, and they're 20-8 in their last 28 games as a home favorite. Arizona has gone just 3-8 in the second game of their last 11 back-to-back situations, and they're 12-42 in their last 54 against teams with a winning record. Losing Clayton Keller last week to that broken leg when he crashed into the boards is a big blow for the Coyotes. The Blues still battling for playoff position in a crowded Western Conference. They enter tonight's action sitting third in the Central Division, 4 points ahead of Nashville and 5 points back of Minnesota, who's in second place in the Central. So St. Louis definitely looking for a win here to hold off Nashville and Dallas, who are both behind them in the standings with about, 13, 14 games to go. Obviously, St. Louis does not want to fall into a wild card spot and end up having to play Calgary or Colorado, for example, in the opening round. But there basically are no good matchups if you're a team in the West, because you're going to be playing a pretty decent hockey club. Same in the East, because that playoff field has been pretty much set since before Christmas. But tonight I look for the Blues to take care of business against Arizona. The Coyotes tired after playing yesterday. And the Blues are a tough team to contain.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Coyotes haven't been able to do it this season, so I think you're safe on that one, my friend. Let's go to the next one. Oops, my bad. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Onward and upward.
Nope, you're still on the Blues.
I know, but
there you go.
I was going to let
you
go. Okay.
Yep, we got the Flames and the Kings. This is a big Pacific Division matchup. As the Flames have suddenly dropped 3 in a row, including losing 6-4 to St. Louis the other night. Their lead is now down to 3 points in the Pacific Division over the Kings, though they do have 3 games in hand, so they have that going for them. Flames 40-19-9 on the year. They are 19-11-2 on the road. The Kings 38-23-10, but they're just 18-14-4 on home ice this season. Big thing about this game could be goal differential. The Flames have a plus 67 margin, which is second best in the Western Conference behind only the Avalanche. The Kings, despite being 38-23-10, have a goal differential of 3. That's 8th in the West. That's the lowest of teams with a positive goal differential. So could be a tough night for the Kings. Jacob Markstrom, 31-14-8 with a 219 goals against, a 924 save percentage, and 9 shutouts. Expected to start against Jonathan Quick, 17-12-9 with a 266 goals against, a 909 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. The Flames are 7th in the league in goals for at 3.47. They're second in goals against at 2.5. Kings are 20th in goals for at 2.83. 9th in goals against at 2.79. The Flames are 5-1 in their last 6 after giving up 5 goals or more in their last game. Like we said, they lost 6-4 to St. Louis the other night. They're 5-1 in their last 6 as a road favorite. Kings just 1-4 in their last 5 as a home underdog. 1-5 in their last 6 after allowing 2 or less. And 1-5 in their last 6 after a win. I know this game means a lot to the Kings. I just think they're going to come out flat here. I'm going to go with the Flames.
There's a question from Quentin. Which game is better to take the money line, the Kings versus the Flames, or Boston and the Blue Jackets?
That's always open to interpretation. If you pick Boston on the money line, and the juice is minus 250 as opposed to minus 180. I know a lot of people have high hopes for Boston. They're in a 4-team cluster in the Atlantic Division where one of those teams is going to end up as a wild card. From a mathematical perspective, the Flames are the better money line because you're laying less juices. So, I mean, if you're that confident in the Bruins winning, a lot of people would tend to lean towards the puck line there because they don't want to give up that kind of, investment. Like I said, the Bruins money line going at minus 250 at the moment. So the puck line at minus 1.5 is plus 105. So there's a little bit of juice going in your favor as far as the puck line. It's all a matter of preference. Some people, like I said, like we've said before, some people want the surety of knowing that all they need to do is have their team win. But, a lot of people don't want to lay 250 to win 100 either. So it's all a matter of preference.
And so we've got the Lakers, Lakers on the brain.
And Jim's having technical difficulties here. So, Marlo, I think you're right. I think the Bruins will probably win that game in regulation. Columbus isn't a very good hockey team. They've traded away a lot of players. Of course, the loss of Kivelniks before the season with that whole fireworks incident really seemed to take some of the starch out of Columbus early on in the year. Give them credit. They got back to 500 on the season, but they're not going anywhere at this point other than to the golf course next month.
There you go.
And, Boston just beat Columbus 5-2 in Boston the other night. So,
all right. So let's go for two for the money, my friend. See what we got on that list today.
T-Train said the Russians got you, Jim.
I know. I saw that. I'm back.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Blues and the Bruins. I just think that Columbus, like we just said, they're a team that's going nowhere. Boston just beat them Saturday. I have no faith in Columbus at this stage. I just think that Boston's a better team. Yeah, I don't get how the Rangers lost to the Flyers yesterday either, especially after I watched the way Philadelphia played against Toronto Saturday night, where they gave up 4 goals in the third period. They played good for 2 periods, and then, they wilted in the third like a head of cheap lettuce. You left baking out in the sun. I just think that that was a fluke, and I think that Boston will get the win over Columbus. But, yeah, Michael, you're right. That was a disappointing showing for the Rangers. Basically their second one in a row because they disappointed against the Islanders on Friday night.
Judy, over-under on what?
Exactly. And then, like we said, Calgary, yeah, I wouldn't touch minus 2.5. I'm always a little worried about those games where you're trying to bank on a team to win by 3 goals. It's hard enough to win by 2 some nights. I know that it's at minus 110, like Lex said, but 1.5. I know it's still a bit of a juice price, but it's a little safer than expecting St. Louis to win, 5-2 or something like that. And like we said, Kansas over Carolina. I'm just worried about Carolina's depth. I'm worried about Baycott. I'm worried about their emotional state after beating Duke. It's such a big game for them, playing Duke. There's so much animosity between those schools. What do you have left?
Yeah, we'll find out tonight. All right, 4 for the show.
Yeah, as you see, with it being such a light docket, it's kind of tough to try and figure out things to fit in here.
Right.
But I'm looking for that game to just stay under 151.5. I just think that if Kansas builds a lead, they'll end up missing free throws late and keep it short. But this one could go either way. If we get a 3-point barrage like we saw against Villanova, it could end up over. I'm just hedging my bets a little bit towards the under. I think McCormick will go over 10.5. That's his season average. We said he had 15 against Miami. He had 25 against Villanova. You got to go at Baycott and see what he's got, see what kind of shape he's in here. And, either get him and Manic in foul trouble or, get yourself some easy baskets, set up everybody else. I think it was Lex said, Boston over 3.5 goals. I think, they scored 5 the other night. You look at some of their recent games for the Bruins in this last stretch, their last 5 games, 5, 8, 4, 6, and 3. So you're talking about an average of, 13, 21, 5.2 goals a game in that stretch. Columbus has been notorious for giving up goals at home. They give up 3.74 a night on the season overall. I like to think Boston can get 4 and go past the mark. And the Flames and the Kings, I look to stay under 6. You look at the recent matchups between those two teams, we've seen a lot of 3-2 type of games when it comes to these two teams. In fact, each of the last 2 meetings, the Kings won on March 31st, 3-2 in a shootout. The other meeting this year, 3-2 in favor of Calgary. The under, I think, has numbered something like 18-7-1 in the last 26 meetings in Los Angeles. The Flames also going under in 5 of their last 6 on one-day arrest. The Kings 5-2 in their last 7 as an underdog. I think Calgary actually returns to playing defense here. And it ends up another 3-2 type of game.
You got 2
keeping it short.
good keepers there too.
Yeah, that's true. Quick and Markstrom.
Yeah, so it does tend to help. All right, so let's go for the entire enchilada here. We got the
which is a giant mess of crap because there's only 5 games to work with, so you got to have to try and pick and choose what to work with.
Very creative there.
Yeah, it's not like it was on Friday where we hit 9 out of 10 in this segment, and the team that screwed us over was the Arizona Coyotes. I just think Caleb Love's going to end up under 17.5. I know he's had some good games in the tournament, but we've also seen him take some horrible shots. Just looking at his recent numbers, let me pull up here.
Well, he's been very streaky.
Yeah, sometimes he takes dumb shots. He takes those heat check shots that you shouldn't be taking.
Right.
I know he had 28 against Duke and he had 30 against UCLA, but he had only 14 against St. Peter's and he had 5 against Baylor. So if you look at the pattern, 23, 5, 30, 14, 28, it seems like he's poised to go back down to a lower digit here. And I'll lean towards him falling short of the mark. Same token, I don't pick games that involve the Maple Leafs if I can help it, Michael, just because it eliminates any bias. I think Tampa Bay will probably win that game.
Where are they playing?
They're playing at the Amalie Arena. The Leafs start a 4-game road trip tonight. So, and I think they have Florida on this stretch too, and they have Dallas, and I don't remember who the 4th team is off the top of my head.
I saw both the Panthers and the Lightning clinched a playoff spot, right? I know Florida did over the weekend.
Yeah, let me take a look-ski here. As according to this, they don't have Tampa marked as clinching yet, but okay. I imagine it's probably not that far
imminent. Off. Right.
Lex. Yeah, because they and Toronto both have 93 points. So I imagine, let's see, the Islanders are the next closest team not in playoff contention. So their magic number, so to speak, is like 7 points, give or take. So in the next week or so, all these teams will pretty much clinch, and
they'll fall just be
outside the Capitals because they're the team that sticks out in the East that doesn't have 90 points.
Right. Lex has got this as his parlay. So.
Oh yeah, he's got the Toronto and Boston. So there you go. Yeah, I think Agbaji's he's not going to hit 6 of 7 from 3 again. He's been inconsistent as well. And I think, why did I have Caleb Love on there twice? That's a typo.
I thought you just liked them.
Yeah, well, I think I meant to put RJ Davis in there, and I just mistyped it when I looked. Let me look because I've got it on my notepad here. What was it supposed to be? Yeah, it's supposed to be R.J. Davis on the second one. He's supposed to be under, I think, 15.5 is what the number was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way technology works. You copy something and I copied it twice when it wasn't supposed to. Manic, I look to go over 16.5. He'll find a way to knock down some threes, or he'll get to the line. And somebody's got to score some points in this one. I think he's going to be more relied on, especially if Baycott is hampered on the offensive end. I know everybody thinks he's going to be fine. You try running on a sprained ankle for 40 minutes up and down the floor, and tell me how fine you are.
Michael, let me answer your question, which is why does the NBA take the day off the national championship game? Traditionally, they've done that because they assume or imagine that there's going to be a lot of fans wanting to watch the national championship game. And frankly, there's a lot of guys who play in the NBA who want to watch the national championship game. So it's a Monday night, and they kind of seed it, if you will, to the college game. So that's kind of what they've done. It's unofficial. It's not something they have to do or always do, but most of the time they do. So at least over the last few years, they've had this tradition of giving the national championship game in college, the game on Monday night, and taking that night off, and then picking things back up on Tuesday. So is it official? No, but it normally is just something that the league does. So there you go. A courtesy. Thank you.
It doesn't make it easy for us.
No.
But yeah, I think the Bruins and Columbus will end up over 6.5. Like we said, they scored 7 the other night. Hey, why not 7 again? Yeah, Michael said, why couldn't they play 2 or 3 games at like 6 Eastern and finish before the tip?
I don't know, Michael.
They did that with a bunch of games on Saturday before the Final Four. I mean, the Knicks played at noon and stuff. So I guess maybe they're concerned about TV money.
Yeah. Or the
people might forget to tune in at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I look for the Blues to go over 3.5. I just think Arizona is a weak team defensively, and they're playing the second game of back-to-back. St. Louis is a good team on offense. They should be able to get that. And that'll help push this one over 6, because I think the Blues will win 4 or 5-2, which ties in handy since I said Arizona's not going to score more than 2.5 or score under 2.5 goals, because let's face it, they're not a very good offensive team. I think Columbus will go over 2.5. I think it'll be 4 or 5-3 with Boston. And I think the Leafs will go over 2.5, because it's tough to slow down Toronto. I mean, if you look at the way they've gone offensively of late, they've piled up some goals last stretch here. 6 the other night. They had 7 against Winnipeg. They had 6 against Boston. They had 5 against Florida. That's a lot of lighting the lamp in 4 games. 24 goals in that stretch. And, let's face it, Tampa Bay is going to get theirs too, so I wouldn't be surprised if that game goes over the number. Toronto still trying to figure out their goaltending.
There's a bit of theme there. We got 3 in a row of 2.5 goals. So
yeah,
there you go. It's that's
going to be interesting.
Omen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, fortunately, tomorrow we've got a whole slate of let's see how many games we got in the NBA. 472.
Something like that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 12 NBA games tomorrow. So
they'll make up for today.
Yeah, 12 of those, and the NHL will have 3, 6, 10 games tomorrow. So a lot more stuff to choose from tomorrow than what we had to work with today.
Right.
Which will be good, because it's tough trying to figure out some of these things that you're not necessarily like player props. I know Rochelle's a big fan of those. It's not something that I normally mess with because there's more stuff to talk about. But today was a very, very light day. So
today
had to improvise.
There you go. Had to switch it up a little bit. Hey, look, watch the entire Max Wagers team, folks. Midday Money with Sean Higgs at noon. We had a Allie Burns sighting earlier in the show. Her show comes on at 1 o'clock. Just Parlays with Mr. King and myself at 2. Then, right around 3 o'clock, it's back to the window with Scott and Scott. Game time decisions with Nick, Tim, and Lenny comes up at 5. So all kinds of fun stuff coming
And
up.
don't worry, Michael, the USFL starts in 2 weeks. We'll be talking about it.
There you go. And don't forget that we've got a free gift for you, and that is a 100-page baseball preseason guide to what's going to happen. And all you have to do, like everything else we have, which includes Caesars and the guide and Chris's parlays, are all in the show box below. Just go down there and hit the show box, open it up, and all the goodies are in there, and you can take advantage of any and everything that you see. By all means, do that. And on your way down, take a moment, hit that like button and subscribe and hit the bell so that you get all of our information for the day. Okay, so we would greatly appreciate it. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, Chris, Kansas tonight.
That's my thought process. It's going to be an interesting game. Like I said, I'm just worried what Carolina's headspace is now. You know, you beat Duke. Obviously, that's an emotional thing with the rivalry, like we talked about the other day. It was the 189th meeting since 1950. You know, obviously they go back beyond that, and the first time they had ever met in the NCAA tournament. So, what do you have left?
It was the 100th time that Mike Krzyzewski played against North Carolina, and the series ended at 50-50.
And you know, finally, you know, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Mike Bossy, the former Islanders great.
Yeah.
You know, who is going into basically hospice with lung cancer. You know, Bossy was an anchor on that Islanders dynasty in the early 80s with Trottier and Dennis Potvin and Billy Smith, all those guys, you know. And everybody talks about, you know, Wayne Gretzky scoring 50 goals in 39 games and everything else. But let's not forget that after Henry Richard, Mike Bossy was the second player to go 50-50 with the Islanders. And, you know, he'll definitely be missed. He was a great goal scorer, you know. He still owns the NHL record for most goals per game in a career with .792. He averaged 62 goals a season. Even in an offensive era like the 80s were, those are numbers that, you know, you see in video games, and that's about it. He definitely will be missed. He's an icon not only to the Islanders franchise, but as to the league and that era as a whole. And it's going to be a sad day.
Indeed. Any final questions before we head out here and give Scott and Scott their shot at talking about the big game tonight?
Yeah, I think we're good.
I don't think, I'm looking around. Okay. Well, guys, thanks very much for dropping by on a Monday. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's championship game. And we will be back here tomorrow to talk about it and talk about all those other games that Chris has now said that we have popping up there on the NHL and NBA schedule. So there's more than enough to talk about tomorrow. So come on back, 2 o'clock, same time right here on the Max Wagers Network. And we hope that you have a wonderful day. Be safe, enjoy, and have a great night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.